In the early summer of 2002, Padres fans had the opportunity to cast their votes online at Padres.com in 8 categories. Those votes determine the content of this video. Fans were asked to choose the greatest Padres or Padres moment in the following categories: individual season, personality, single game pitching performance, greatest pitcher, player, feat, moment, and game. Now it's time to reveal the results of that voting.
The National League flag around their shoulders for 1998.
Hello everybody, I'm Bob Chandler. Let's get right to the first fans' favorites category. Now, although baseball is a team sport, players are usually judged by individual stats. And we begin with a collection of players who put together career best seasons while wearing a Padres uniform. Here are the nominees for the greatest individual season in club history. 3 Cy Young seasons make the list of candidates. First, there was Randy Jones' incredible 1976 campaign when he won 22 games and set the club record for wins, complete games, and innings pitched. Just 2 years later, Hall of Famer Gaylord Perry became the first pitcher to win the Cy Young Award in both leagues when he took the plaque in 1978. And this plaque went to Mark Davis in 1989 for his 44 save campaign, which at the time was just 1 save short of the league record. As for the hitters, well, we begin with the first great Padres slugger, Nate Colbert. Back in 1972, Colbert blasted 38 homers, drove in 111 runs, despite the tall outfield walls at what was then San Diego Stadium.
Drive to right field, got some distance. Murphy back, jumps.
The next nominee, Benito Santiago's Rookie of the Year season of 1987, when he hit in 34 consecutive games, a team record that still stands. The next nominee is Gary Sheffield, who in 1992 came closer than any Padre in history to winning the Triple Crown. He did win the batting title, though. He batted .330 that year.
And the pitch. Curveball hit the left center field. Way back, that ball's on it.
In 1996, Ken Caminetti set club records with 40 homers and 130 RBIs, and played great defense on his way to becoming only the 4th player to win the league MVP in a unanimous vote.
This one is hit deep down the left field line. It might be, and it is number 50 for Greg Vaughn.
Our next nominee, Greg Vaughn, broke Cammy's team homer record when he went deep 50 times for the eventual National League change.
Got him. Strike 3 called.
That same 98 season featured one of the greatest pitching performances in league history when Trevor Hoffman saved 53 games in 54 attempts, including an incredible 41 saves in a row.
Picks up his 53rd save.
Do something with it.
Nevin first pitch swinging, a long drive to deep left center. Pierre looks up, and it is gone. A grand slam for Phil Nevin.
And in the 2001 season, Phil Nevin became a nominee by blasting 41 homers and driving in 126 runs.
Norton's at the wall, looks up, goodbye!
Fly ball, deep right field, Guillen back. It is gone.
And of course, there's Tony Gwynn, who had so many great seasons. 2 in particular, however, stand out as nominees for the greatest individual season in Padres history. First, in the strike-shortened season of 1994, Gwynn threatened the hallowed 400 mark. He finished with a .394 average, the highest since Ted Williams hit .406 in 1941. In 1997, Tony hit for both average and power. He batted .372, hit 17 homers, drove in 119 runs to win his 8th batting title, which tied Honus Wagner for the most batting crowns in National League history. Now, this was a close competition with Trevor Hoffman's near-perfect 1998 season just 3 percentage points behind. But with 26% of the vote, the fans' favorite choice for greatest individual season in Padres history is Tony Gwynn's near-historic 1994. Glenn Geffner takes a look back.
The magical 400 mark had been seriously challenged only a handful of times since Ted Williams batted .406 in 1941. 53 years later, Tony Gwynn came closer than anyone. It all came together as Tony batted .394 in 1994.
You know, we call it getting in the zone, getting locked in. Whatever it was, I was locked in. I knew it. I was seeing the ball good. I was reacting good, and I was hitting the ball around the screw.
Gwynn hit .475 over the season's final month, but with the hits coming at a staggering pace and Tony's average rising on a daily basis, his quest to make baseball history was cut short as a player's strike ended the season in mid-August. Unsure when or if play might resume, Gwynn stayed positive and he stayed focused.
And the whole time I thought, okay, we're going to go on strike, we're going to come back, and I'm going to get a chance to finish this. And, you know, every day hitting wiffle balls in my backyard thinking I'm going to get a chance to come back, and it never happened.
Remarkably, Gwynn has no regrets. Instead of pondering the maybes and what-ifs, he finds consolation in his conviction that he would indeed have made baseball history.
Oh, yeah, I was going to do it in '94. There's no question in my mind I was going to do it.
What a season that was for Tony Gwynn. Well, Tony's well known for understating his skills and accomplishments. So if he says he could have hit 400 that year, boy, I wouldn't doubt him. We turn now to the next category, greatest personality. And right from the start, there have been some colorful characters in this organization. Here are the nominees. Two of the nominees for greatest personality are owners, and both saved baseball in San Diego. In 1974, with the team on the verge of moving to Washington, D.C., McDonald's founder Ray Kroc bought the club, promised to keep it here, and did. 2 decades later, the Padres had the worst record and worst attendance in baseball. In stepped current owner John Moores, who bought the club and built a winner. The next 2 nominees were managers, sort of. Dick Williams led the team to its first National League championship in 1984. Following his only year of managing, 1980, Jerry Coleman decided to go back to broadcasting, and he's been the beloved voice of the team since 1972.
For 1998, oh, doctor!
The next nominee, Buzzy Bavasi, not only helped San Diego land a National League franchise, he served as the team's first president from 1969 to 1977. Our next candidate for Padres' greatest personality was known as Mr. Indispensable. Whitey Wiedemann was a PCL Padres player from 1949 to 1952. He returned as a coach in 1969 and was a beloved member of the team for 25 more years. The final nominees were both players who moved on but are still part of the team. The left-hander Randy Jones was the Padres' first Cy Young Award winner and now covers the team as a radio personality. Tim Flannery, known for his hustle on the field, still shows that intensity from the third base coach's box. This category was one of the closest, but a guy who had to be on everyone's ballot is one of the best known and most respected men in San Diego. That's because he not only starred on the field and in the broadcast booth, he served his country as well. Karen Slayton has more on the fans' favorite choice for greatest Padres personality.
In 1972, the voice of Gerald Francis Coleman hit San Diego airwaves as the voice of the Padres for the first time. His passion for the game and obvious charm quickly made him a fan favorite, and he still is today.
I'd rather listen to him than anybody else. He is so knowledgeable about the game, about the history, about everything.
Jerry Coleman was not only a great baseball player in himself, but he also does great play-by-play, and I love to hear him on the radio.
His trademark calls change the sound of Padres baseball forever.
Coming on quickly, Finley, he's under, he's got it, and the Padres drape the National League flag around their shoulders for 1998. Oh, doctor!
Oh, Doctor, you've heard about Casey Stengel, have you? The manager of the Yankees and in the Hall of Fame and a great player back in John McGraw's day. He used to say, you know what I mean, Doctor? You got me, Doctor? And I picked it up from him. And it wasn't original, but that's where I got it from. The funny thing, hang a star, when you were in grade school, you had spelling tests at the end of every week, right? I thought the pinnacle of success was the gold star because I never got a gold star in spelling.
The broadcast legend's baseball career began in 1949 with the New York Yankees. Known for his stellar defense, Jerry won Rookie of the Year honors, and in 1950, the All-Star second baseman was named World Series Most Valuable Player. Although the awards were flattering, they weren't the highlight of his career.
1949, the last out, I can still see it. Tommy Henrik was playing first base, I was playing second base, he caught the last out, we won the pennant. On that game, you must remember that whoever won the game won the pennant. It was against the Boston Red Sox. It beat the World Series, it beat everything. That was the highlight of my professional baseball life, that last out. It was wonderful.
His tenure in the booth was interrupted in 1980 when he returned to the field to manage the San Diego Padres.
I love Jerry Coleman. I got to play for him as a manager. I've listened to him for a lot of years. I've got to travel with him and listen to him off the air as well. And it'd be great for a lot of the young guys to sit next to him and pick his brains because he's just full of great baseball information.
That one-season stint as skipper helped him decide he was better at calling the action than he was at calling on a new generation of ball players, so he returned to doing what he does best. Though 30-plus years broadcasting and his championships with the Yankees will always hold special places in his heart, it is his selfless service to his country that defines his life. Jerry's 9-year baseball career was interrupted twice. He served as a Marine aviator during World War II and in Korea.
Service to the country, my time in the United States Marine Corps, 5 years, means more to me than anything that ever happened to me in my life, including baseball, including broadcasting. It is the signature moment of my life, my time in the service in the United States Marines. It's never changed. It's always been that way.
A rare treasure to baseball, and even more special to San Diego, Jerry Coleman, our fans' choice for greatest personality in Padres history, is truly one to hang a star on.
My buddy Jerry Coleman, truly one of a kind. The next category fans voted on was greatest single-game pitching performance. Here are the nominees. Of the more than 5,200 games played in Padres history, 6 pitching performances stand out. The first nominee for Best Single-Game Pitching Performance is Clay Kirby. On September 24th, 1971, Kirby started and went 15 innings in the longest game in Padres history, a 21-inning, 2-1 loss to the Astros. But the game longtime Padres fans remember was July 21st, 1970. In one of the most controversial managerial moves in team history, Kirby, trailing 1-0, was lifted for a pinch hitter despite throwing 8 innings of no-hit ball against the Mets. To this day, no Padres pitcher has thrown a no-hitter. Steve Arlen, our second nominee, came closer than any Padres pitcher to throwing a no-hitter. On July 18, 1972, Arlen had a no-no going with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 9th inning.
I was in that zone. I didn't know what was going on. And I jammed Doyle, and he hit a little chop shot that hit right in front of the plate and bounced over the glove of Roberts, who was playing in, and shortstop had time to come over and get the ball before he even got to the outfield. So there went immortality.
Nominee number 3 is Andy Ashby. His July 5th performance silenced the powerful Colorado Rockies bats on just 75 pitches.
This should do it. Giovanola over to first. Ball game.
The fourth nominee for Best Single-Game Pitching Performance is Kevin Brown's Division Series record 16 strikeout effort to beat Randy Johnson in Game 1 of the 1998 Division Series.
It's a shame that one of them had to lose, but Kevin Brown pitched the best, a career-high 16 strikeout. Just a great, great performance.
The fifth nominee, we'll keep it brief, on May 4th, 1977, just off his Cy Young season of 1976, Randy Jones dominated the Phillies in the shortest game in Padre history. It took just 1 hour and 29 minutes to beat the Phillies that day, 4-1. And the final nominee for Best Single-Game Pitching Performance is Fred Norman. Against a lineup that included 3 Hall of Famers and the game's all-time hit king, Pete Rose, Norman struck out 15 to beat the Cincinnati Reds 1-0 September 15, 1972. Now, of all those great pitching performances, it appears one took on added significance to the fans because of its timing. The winner of greatest single-game pitching performance is the only postseason gem from the list of nominees. When Kevin Brown faced the Astros in Game 1 of the 1998 National League Division Series, the underdog Padres hadn't won a playoff game in 14 years, and they weren't supposed to win this one, because on the hill for the Central Division champs that September 29th was the intimidating and nearly unbeatable Randy Johnson. Tony Gwynn describes what he saw from right field that day in the Astrodome.
Brownie was just electric that night, and I think the Astros thought he was going to throw him his sinker and keep the ball down and make him hit ground balls, and he went right after him throwing the high rider, and they could not catch up.
Brown's determination was matched only by the Astros' frustration. He was nearly unhittable.
He just elevated his game to another level in that game, and nobody was going to hit him. I mean, everybody went up there, thinking they were going to see this Kevin Brown that they'd seen all year long, and all of a sudden he elevated his game, and they couldn't touch him.
Brown mowed down a Division Series record 16 Astros in his 8 scoreless innings. A sacrifice fly by Jim Leyritz and a solo homer by Greg Vaughn provided the 2 runs the Padres needed. Now, Houston did score 1 run in the 9th inning, but Trevor Hoffman closed it out.
Little running. High in the air to center. Finley's waiting for it. The ball game is over.
I really didn't realize I had that many strikeouts until the last inning when Hoffy came in. One of the guys on the bench told me about it. I just tried to stay focused and make sure it was going to be a tough game with Randy on the mound. Tried to limit my mistakes, and guys made a couple nice plays defensively behind me.
Brownie definitely outlasted him. It was a tremendous effort. Single-handedly carried the team to a victory.
Just lifted this ball club, gave them a sense of confidence that we can beat the Astros, and it's one of the most incredible performances I've ever seen.
But this was more than a win. It was the spark the Padres needed, a confidence-building opening to an incredible postseason run that led all the way to the World Series, making it the fans' favorite choice for greatest single-game pitching performance.
He was still throwing 96, 97 miles per hour in the 9th inning, or the 8th inning. And the only way to describe it is electric. He was electric that day.
Kevin Brown's stellar pitching performance is just one example of the saying, good pitching stops good hitting. Now that leads us to the next fans' favorites category. Here are the nominees for the greatest pitcher in Padres history. Of the hundreds of men to throw the 5 ounces of cork, yarn, and horsehide for the Padres, we whittled it down to 10 nominees, spanning the time from the original big league Padres to the current club. The first, a slender 21-year-old nicknamed the Kid when he joined the Padres in 1969. Clay Kirby threw 34 complete games for the Friars in 5 seasons, including the club's first one-hitter. In fact, he earned no-hitters into the 8th in consecutive starts, September 13th and 18th of 1971. From 1973 to 1980, Padres opponents couldn't keep up with the Jones boy. Southpaw Randy Jones, he became the team's first 20-game winner in 1975 and won the club's first Cy Young Award in 1976 with a dominating 22-14 record. The 2-time All-Star is first in club history with 71 complete games. Donning his trademark handlebar mustache, Raleigh Fingers, the longtime Oakland Athletic, came to town in 1977 for a 4-year stint. In that time, he put up impressive numbers, including 108 saves, second only to Trevor Hoffman in the Padres record books.
Prayers are being heard in San Diego.
Yeah, go ahead and through. Go ahead and through. Hold him right there now. We got a long way to go. Go hard now.
In the early 80s, the Padres signed 2 pitchers who would be keys in the 1984 race for the pennant. The first, Andy Hawkins, would go on to earn the team's only World Series win, working 5 1/3 shutout innings of one-hit relief.
Make the switch. You've been just outstanding. You've just been super. Here, let me get a hand. Get the hand you deserve. That's beautiful.
If you believe earned run average is the true measure of a pitcher's performance, there's no better Padre than the second guy brought here in the early 80s, Dave Dravecky. He has the lowest career ERA in Padres history. Closing for Dravecky in 1984 was Rich Goose Gossage. He is third on the Padres' all-time saves list with 83. His greatest save in a Padres uniform came October 7, 1984, as the Padres beat the Chicago Cubs to advance to the World Series.
Here's the Goose. The 1-1 pitch. A one-hopper to Neto, to Wiggins, and the Padres have the National League pennant. Oh, Doctor, you can hang a star of that, baby.
Later in 1989, our next nominee, Mark Davis, notched what was then a team record 44 saves on his way to becoming the third Padres pitcher to win the Cy Young Award.
It's like the Nook of the North.
That same year, Bruce Hurst made his Padres debut. His .591 winning percentage is the highest of any Padres pitcher ever, and his 3.27 career ERA ranks second behind only Dave Dravecky.
And Hurst wins his 10th of the season.
Our next nominee, Andy Ashby, was named the club's Pitcher of the Year in 1995, and his 70 wins ranked fourth among Padre pitchers. He was a starter for both the 96 and 98 playoff teams and a leader in the clubhouse. Our final nominee is the most dominating closer of this era. With 43 saves in 2001, Trevor Hoffman became the first pitcher to record 40 saves in 5 consecutive seasons. He's 7th on the all-time saves list and climbing.
2 out, nobody on. Outfield straight up. The pitch. High fly ball, right field, routine out. On the line, he's got it for the 3rd out, and the Padres pick up a win. Save number 300. He is the 14th man in baseball history to get 300 saves, and I got to tell you one thing, what a pressure spot for Trevor.
Well, as you saw, the Padres have had their share of dominant starters, reliable relievers, and a few Cy Young Award winners to boot. But when it comes to the combination of longevity and reliability, no pitcher in Padres history, or baseball history for that matter, comes close to Trevor Hoffman, the fans' favorite choice for greatest pitcher in Padres history. It was July 25th, 1998, when Padres relief pitcher Trevor Hoffman first entered a game to the musical accompaniment of Hell's Bells.
From a 1-run win. And that's it.
It's possible when his career is over, Hoffman may have recorded more saves than any other pitcher in baseball history. And it's very likely his Hell's Bells entrance is also the best in the history of the game. As Sports Illustrated magazine featured on its cover in June of 2002, an argument can be made that Trevor is the best reliever in baseball history. Certainly it's a fact that Trevor's success rate for saves, nearly 89%, is the best ever. In 1998, Trevor helped the Padres get to the World Series by saving an incredible 53 games in 54 tries while compiling a 1.48 earned run average. And on May 1st, 2002, Hoffy recorded his historic 321st save as a Padre. No pitcher in baseball history has ever saved more games for one team. And no reliever has recorded as many 40 save seasons as Trevor. It's reasonable to project that Trevor Hoffman will someday represent the Padres in baseball's Hall of Fame. It really began as a shortstop at Arizona. You were drafted by Cincinnati as a shortstop. Explain again how you became a shortstop, from a shortstop to a relief pitcher.
Well, it was pretty simple. A shortstop that makes about 30 years in a half season in A-ball and has a hard time hitting the baseball and couldn't hit that slider down the way. It was a pretty good indication that I wasn't going to unseat Barry Larkin, who is still with the Reds today at shortstop. So the Hill of Thrills was the next call for me, and as it's turned out, it's been a pretty good ride.
Trevor, I remember watching you pitching for the Florida Marlins, and then when the Padres first got you, we're talking a guy who could throw 95, 96 miles an hour. Now, you rarely get to 90, but you're a better pitcher. Now, how did you develop that great changeup, and how was this transition?
Well, some of it was forced. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, it was a situation where I'd have loved to rely on my mid-90-mile-an-hour fastball and have that my whole career, but that just wasn't the case. And so it was a situation where I'm kind of a good real estate guy. Location, location, location is the secret of my success in the sense that I'm feeding off my fastball, and hopefully I can put my fastball where I want to. And everything else will hopefully fall into place after that. The changeup was evolved in 95 when the velocity went down, and I needed to come up with another pitch that what I call kind of an equalizer, kind of keep guys off balance. And what better way to do that than a changeup that's going to be about 10, 15 miles an hour slower than your fastball. And if I can get ahead with that pitch, hopefully we got him where we want him.
You know, fans wonder because they think the hitter has to know that changeup is coming, and they still have trouble hitting it.
Well, you know, there's no real recipe, that's for sure. But I think the days of being a hitter has allowed me to take that type of knowledge to the mound and have an idea of what maybe a hitter's trying to think, or what type of tips he's giving away to me, or what some things he's trying to do at the plate. And so it is a difficult thing to hit, and try not to give away too much credit when I'm on the hill, but there's definitely times when a hitter will give away an idea of that he's looking out or half of the plate, or he might be sitting on that changeup where he's spread out or maybe even scooted up in the batter's box, and we'll try and stay away from a pitch he's looking for.
Trevor, it may be arguable as to who is the single best relief pitcher in the game today, but nobody argues with your entrance. That's the coolest entrance of any relief pitcher in the game. Talk about that.
I'd have to reiterate that. It's definitely a great entrance, and it was a lot of fun for me as well. I have not tired of it one bit since we started in '98. And it's a situation where the guys up top in the booth kind of came down and said, hey, we got a pretty good song I think you might like to come into. And, you know, I think more than anything it was the '98 season that had a lot to do with the success and the fun that the fans have had. That was a great season for the club in general, and about halfway through we instituted it, and you know, we've kind of taken off from there. It's become part of San Diego baseball.
Does the adrenaline still flow when you hear those bells?
Well, the adrenaline in a sense comes from the anticipation of it all. I think you know, we all know what to expect when the song starts to play, but it's just the anticipation of waiting for those first bells, and just really for me it's just to get out to the main mound and get myself ready to go.
Trevor, I've never known more of a team guy than you in this game of baseball, but you are moving up the charts, and you know, on the individual number of saves, you're among the top group now. Do you have any goals along those lines?
Not really. I don't think I've put myself in this situation by thinking of those things. You know, I've said it once, said it a lot of times. Individual accomplishments come from team success, and I don't think that could be any more fitting in my role. Being a closer, being a guy that is a pitcher that nothing happens till I throw the baseball, but those things don't come about if the guys in front of me don't do their job. The starting pitchers, the relief corps, the guys in the regulars that score the runs and catch the balls. I'm definitely an asterisk or a byproduct of what the team does.
Congratulations, and thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, we've covered the pitchers. Now, what about the other guys? Here are the nominees for greatest position player in Padres history. We start in the 70s, a time when bad Padres teams were speckled with the rare star. Our first nominee, Nate Colbert, is still the team's career leader in homers with 163. Remarkable, considering the height of the walls in those days. His 5-homer, 13 RBI doubleheader in 1972 earned him legend status among longtime fans. Speed was the name of outfielder Gene Richards' game. In 1977, he set the rookie record with 56 steals. In 1980, his 61 steals, combined with Ozzie Smith and Jerry Mumphrey's totals, made the Padres the first National League team to boast 3 guys with more than 50 stolen bases in one season. And closing out the 70s, Baseball Hall of Famer Dave Winfield. He played his first 8 seasons as a Padre, and he's still second on the team's all-time list of homers and RBIs. The nominees from the 80s were an interesting mix of youth and veterans. First, who would have known that following this handshake with Pete Rose following his first career hit, that Tony Gwynn would go on to drive another 3,140 hits over his career, spanning more than 2 decades, all in a Padres uniform. Tony earned the nickname Mr. Padre by being as great off the field as on. The next 3 nominees were keys to the Padres' first championship team. After leading the Padres in hits in 1982 and 83, catcher Terry Kennedy guided the solid starting staff all the way to the league championship. That league championship wouldn't have happened without Steve Garvey. His homer in the 4th game of the '84 championship series against the Cubs saved the day and made it possible for the Padres to win the title in 5 games. During that championship season, smooth fielding and solid hitting shortstop Gary Templeton contributed daily. He's still second on the team in career hits, doubles, and games played. Catcher Benito Santiago burst onto the scene in 1987 with a 34-game hitting streak that led him to winning the Rookie of the Year award. His streak is still the longest in team history. Moving to the 90s, two hitters stand out. First team leader Ken Caminetti. His 40-homer, 130 RBI season led the team to the Western Division title and led to Camby being just the fourth to be a unanimous selection as the league's most valuable player. Cammy's single-season numbers went unmatched until three-time team MVP Phil Nevin came to San Diego. His steadily climbing numbers reached 41 homers and 126 runs batted in 2001, one of the greatest offensive seasons in team history. Incidentally, diminutive actor Gary Coleman, who wore a Padres uniform in the film The Kid from Left Field, garnered a vote for Padres' greatest player. But really, was there ever any question in your mind? I mean, for 20 seasons, San Diego had the privilege of watching one of the greatest hitters ever to play the game, and he did it all in a Padres uniform. With 90% of the vote, the fans' favorite choice for greatest player in Padres history is undoubtedly Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn's remarkable Padres career began July 19, 1982, with two hits against the Philadelphia Phillies and baseball's all-time hits leader, Pete Rose, who asked Tony if he was trying to catch him in one game. Pete obviously knew hitting talent when he saw it. What does Tony remember about his first hit?
Double to left center, Pete trails the play, flash on the board, first big league hit, shakes my hand, says congratulations, starts to walk back to first, turns around and says, "Don't try to catch me in one night, kid."
When Tony's surefire Hall of Fame career ended in October of 2001, he had amassed 3,141 hits that included 8 batting titles. In the history of baseball, only Ty Cobb won more batting championships than Gwynn. Tony's historic 3,000th hit came August 6, 1999 in Montreal.
Line drive, center field, there it is, number 3,000 for Tony Gwynn. And his first at bat of the night in a foreign country in Canada. At Olympic Stadium, Tony Gwynn has done it.
Tony became only the 22nd player in baseball history to achieve 3,000 hits, and he finished his career 16th all-time in total hits.
Well, some of these Padres fan favorite selections might have surprised you a little bit. Here's one that won't surprise anybody. Tony Gwynn voted the greatest Padre of them all by Padres fans. And Tony, now that you've been removed for almost a year, believe it or not, you sit back, you reflect on 20 years. Tell me what this selection means to you.
Well, it's nice that fans feel like you were one of the best. In my mind, I think playing in one city has a lot to do with it because to me there are other players that were more productive, had more of an impact on their particular clubs. But in my case, I spent my whole career here, so I think a lot of people probably feel like you're part of the family. They're voting in. Part of the family, but I had some productive years here. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think what I did, I was very good at.
Tony Gwynn using that 5.5 hole. That's where this man has made his living for 17 years, right there.
People talk about Tony Gwynn, they will remember one of the greatest hitters of all time. What they don't usually talk about up front, at least, is all the hard work that went into doing that. The preparation, the on-field stuff, the video preparation.
It took a lot of hard work. I was one of those guys that I guess the best way to describe it is that I was talented, I had this ability, and I really didn't know what the heck I was doing with it. And I had to try to figure out how to get it out, how to be consistent with it. And so I went to work, I'd hit every day, hit the cage, do the video stuff, pay attention. I tried to pay attention to details because to me, if it gave me an edge, then, I was all for it. And, talking to a couple of Hall of Famers really changed my career. Sam Musial and Ted Williams really had a huge impact on my career because they taught me, what they did was they told me to trust, the things that I did and be a little bit more aggressive with it, and it paid huge dividends. So I went from a 329 lifetime hitter to really 340 until the last 2 years of my career. And so, I was lucky. I was able to thank both of them, too, and their impact, their words of encouragement, their knowledge really helped me to become a better hitter.
think one of the things that fans respect about you and appreciated about you the most was with all that you did on the field, through all the hard work, through all the great years, through some lean years for this team, there weren't too many days that went by where it didn't look like you were having a heck of a lot of fun out there on the field.
Yeah, I was, you know, and now that I'm retired, I look back on that and I smile a lot more now than I did when I was on the field playing, because, you know, that's your job, that's your livelihood. If you wanted to be good at it, you wanted to be prepared, and you wanted to go out and execute it. But I did. I had a lot of fun, and now that I'm away from it, I'm not away from it really. You know what I mean? I'm not playing Major League Baseball, but I'm coaching college baseball. I'm doing games on TV. But because I'm around it and I talk about it so much, that's enough. And so far, retirement has been really good.
Mr. Padre, in a landslide, the greatest Padre of them all, Tony Gwynn.
Thanks, Glenn. It's no surprise that fans made the right choice when they overwhelmingly voted Tony Gwynn the greatest player in Padres history. Well, there are 3 categories left: greatest feat, greatest game, and greatest moment. And it turns out the winners in all 3 categories are related. And all 3 take us back to the Padres' first National League title. Tom Catlin explains.
In January of 1984, beloved Padres owner Ray Kroc had passed away without realizing his dream of seeing his team in the World Series. But with Kroc's initials on their sleeves, the Padres won the West Division and marched into Chicago for the League Championship Series, determined to win this for Ray.
Not many people knew anything about the San Diego Padres. It was more the Chicago Cubs. It felt like we were against the whole country.
The moments and games that led up to the Padres' greatest game and moment were some of the darkest in team history. In the first game of the League Championship Series, the Padres got clobbered 13-0. They dropped the second game 4-2.
Our morale was down. We were beat bad by the Cubs, and the fans of Chicago let us know it.
Being the first time a lot of us was in the playoffs, and we were overwhelmed.
Now back then, the League Championship Series was a best of 5, so the Padres would need to win 3 straight over a club that seemed far superior. But against overwhelming odds, the Padres and their fans had not given up. Thousands were at the stadium when the downtrodden team returned from the drubbing in Chicago.
Today, one of the greatest moments in I believe, Padre history, because the city was a big part of us coming back.
It just lifted our spirits, and the adrenaline started to flowing.
And it flowed right into the next day. In front of a full house, the doubts became maybes. A cheerleading Gary Templeton led the charge.
Just something about, the fans coming out there and giving their all for us, and I just felt that there was something that I had to give back.
What a catch by Templeton! That wave of support from the San Diego faithful led to a 7-1 win in Game 3.
Home run, Kevin McReynolds, and the Padres have broken it open 7-1.
So trailing 2-1 now, it was time for Game 4. Steve Garvey tied that game at 3 with a single. Another Garvey single in the 7th gave the home team the lead. But the Cubs battled back to tie it at 5, and that's the way it stood when Garvey came up again, with Tony Gwynn on first base in the bottom of the 9th.
I analyzed my past against Lee Smith. Tough year against him, 0 for 8. As I got in the box, I just looked for a fastball somewhere out over the plate. He wasn't the type of guy to pitch in very often. The first pitch was out and up, and I got a chance to read the speed on it pretty well. Then he checked Tony at first base, which set the stage for what I thought was he was going to have to come in. He didn't want to, pitch around me necessarily. And the ball was out over the plate, up just a little bit, and I'm a low ball hitter, but those types of pitches I've always hit the other way.
And what happened next is the fans' favorite choice for greatest moment in Padres history.
Deep right field, way back, Cotto going back to the wall, it's gone! Home run Garvey, and there will be tomorrow!
We had a lot of people that were hyperventilating. I mean, with that reception of Garvey's at the plate, it was just so much joy and happiness and excitement at that particular time.
Once I hit that ball, it was like a release of energy. But I remember once I got to first base of feeling the crowd explode and then signifying the victory for us and a salute to the crowd by raising them. And then going around the bases. I don't remember a whole lot from 2 or 3 steps past first until I got to third. And I couldn't hear a whole lot, but everything was more or less in slow motion. As I came to home plate, my shoe would come off, and I grabbed that, and then it was everybody at home plate, from players and coaches to dear friends to media. It was quite a scene.
That Game 4 win is the fans' favorite choice for greatest game in Padres history as well, and it led to a winner-take-all Game 5. But early in that game, it seemed the Padres were emotionally spent, and the Cubs took a 3-0 lead. With Cy Young Award winner Rick Sutcliffe on the mound, it seemed the Padres were finished.
Got him looking.
Quite frankly, I didn't know if there was any magic left in the club. You know, we had done it twice in 2 days, and all of a sudden, here it came again, you know.
But the team and the fans who had become part of the team would not give up. Tim Flannery was called on to pinch hit with the Friars trailing by a run.
You have a little guy that jumps on your shoulder and says, well, you haven't hit in 2 weeks. How the heck are you going to hit now? And then you fight him down and you say, well, I can do it. My confidence is going to do it. And you have to convince yourself that you're capable of being in that situation. And then you have to get off a good swing.
I believe it's Brewster got up along with him. Ground ball hit the dirt right through his legs. Here comes Martinez. We're tied at 3.
So I looked in Leon Durham's eyes, and I really believed at that moment they knew that they couldn't stop us. They knew that there was something else involved here with the momentum, with the players playing the way they are, with maybe destiny.
Left field. Hard. Sandberg over his head. Right center field base hit. 1 run will score. Moreland is slow getting it. Here comes Wiggins. Here comes the throw to the plate. He's safe. The third is win. 5-3. San Diego.
The Cubs were beaten as Goose Gossage slammed the door. The final out going from Greg Nettles to Alan Wiggins.
The short way, and then there were none. The Padres have won it all.
As soon as the ball goes into the glove, the out's made, it's a release. You know, I mean, pandemonium.
I just wish that Mr. Kroc was there to see it, because he had put so much into San Diego. You know, that's all he ever wanted.
Down in the jubilant Padre clubhouse at R.A.K. means Ray A. Kroc.
I dedicate this happy moment of my life to Ray. May he rest in peace and be forever and ever happy. We love him.
They were the first National League team to come back and win a championship series after trailing 2 games to none. The incredible comeback was voted the fans' favorite for greatest feat in Padres history. Steve Garvey was named the series' most valuable player, but there are those who think maybe the 10th man, the Padres fans, were equally deserving.
And from the first inning on, I mean, they were there. The crowd was just lifting me higher as eventually it was high enough. I just love seeing those pictures, because it's grown men with little boys' hearts in a moment of excitement they'll never forget.
Those 3 games in the fall of '84 meant so much to Padres players and fans, because those fans never lost faith, and in the end, they were truly part of the team's first National League championship. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this fans' favorites trip through the Padres' past, and we thank those of you who helped us produce this video by voting. Now, since the fans had a chance to express their opinions on the players, we gave players a chance to voice their thoughts on the best fans in baseball. From the cast and crew here at Padres Productions and the entire organization, thanks for watching, and thanks for keeping the faith.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thanks to the fans for bestowing this kind of honor on me. It's something that I appreciate greatly. My family appreciates. I think of the first time I walked into the Padre clubhouse back in '93 and thought of all the uncertainty that was in front of us and the future, what it would hold. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't have written a better script. And my tenure here with the Padres has been wonderful, and I just want to say thanks.
I think our fan base is as good as any in the United States. Considering our small market area, I think it is spectacular. These people really love this team. I think they love what's happening here. They love John Moores. They love what's going to happen in the future, the new ballpark, the whole works. To me, I think we have the finest fans in the United States. They're knowledgeable, and they're fun. They enjoy what they're doing.
If you're blessed, you have the opportunity to develop a rapport with the fans of the team you play for, and I'll never forget you, and I'll never forget the years I spent in San Diego. And of course, I think it culminated in 1984 with that great championship against the Cubs, and the great moment I had hitting the home run. But as I walked to home plate that night, I never felt stronger or taller or had more faith than I did that night. It was because of you. I could feel the energy that you gave me, and not only that night, but all through my career in San Diego. You were always there. I thank you, and for all time, God bless you.